Newswatch, how a state park in Athens County is making a day at the beach more inclusive. Plus, jurors spent their first day deliberating in the Trump hush money trial. And why more teens across the country are headed back to work this summer. Newswatch starts now. There's a new plan in the works to make the Strouds Run Beach accessible for everyone. Good evening, I'm Betty Kankambwedu. Welcome to Newswatch. The Athens City County Health Department is behind the project that would make Strouds accessible. Newswatch reporter Donovan Varney has more.
That's right, Betsy. I'm currently at Strouds Run Beach, taking in some sun rays right now, but despite the gloominess earlier, this is a place where a lot of people in Southeast Ohio have been visiting for some time now. I had the chance to speak to some people that were working on plans to make this beach truly enjoyable for all. On a sunny summer's day, you'll find lots of people at Strouds Run State Park enjoying a day by the water. But not everyone is able to enjoy all that Strouds has to offer. Among them is 14-year-old Jovia Richards. A few years ago, Jovia and her family were spending a day at Strouds, and her mother realized there was no way for Jovia to get to the beach.
Her brothers, who are down there playing on the beach right now, were playing, and Jovia had to sit in the parking lot with me and watch them, and I just kind of was complaining about how unfair it was.
Davey McNelly of the Athens County Board of Developmental Disabilities also knows that accessible beaches are hard to find.
There's nothing in this region where someone who uses a wheelchair or someone with a mobility disability can easily get to the beach.
According to the CDC, 13% of Ohioans have some kind of mobility disability. Motivated by the stories of Davey and Jovia, Meredith Erlewine with the Athens City County Health Department brought the issue to the Creating Healthy Communities Committee. They came up with a plan that would make the beach at Strouds the only accessible beach within a 100-mile radius of Athens.
If you make something more accessible, it makes it better for everybody. Walking to the beach will not only be easier for someone that uses a wheelchair or a walker, but for anyone who's trying to get down.
The project's donations have currently reached $30,000, nearly halfway to its $85,000 goal. A map of the projected route outlines a suggested pathway that should be built, situating the path between two handicap parking spots and meandering its way down to the beach. Erlewine hopes the project can begin by next summer. If you're interested in learning more about this project, visit athenspublichealth.org or visit the Ohio State Park Foundation.org to donate. Reporting for Newswatch, I'm Donovan Varney in Athens.
More than $73 million in grant funding is being allotted statewide for jail projects. Jackson County will receive bulk of that funding in $32.8 million, which will go towards a new jail. This new multi-county jail will serve Jackson, Lawrence, and Pike counties. Additionally, Meigs County will receive almost $145,000 for a study to see if a new jail could benefit Meigs County and surrounding areas. The Athens-Hawkins Solid Waste District is discussing implementing the property tax to fund the purchase of the Athens-Hawkins Recycling Center. The tax on parcels would be a $24 annual fee on improved properties in Athens and Hawkins counties. It needs to go through a public hearing, and on July 15 will be voted on by the Solid Waste District, which is governed by county commissioners. Athens Commissioner Chris Schmiel says that his vote requires research on financial impacts for citizens. The Solid Waste District is holding their planning committee meeting tonight, discussing funding and the public hearing process. While the Solid Waste District discusses parcel fees to help support AHRC, Nelsonville is planning to join the Southeastern Ohio Resource Terminal Council of Governments alongside the Athens Hockey Recycling Center and Amesville. The Nelsonville City Council approved a resolution to join at their meeting last night. Councilmember John Flowers was the lone no vote. He says voting yes conflicts with his vote on an ordinance from February that would have put the city's trash hauling up for bid. The next step is for the COG board members to vote Nelsonville into the organization and for the city to pay a $500 service fee.
And for that first look of weather today, you can see Athens, for those temperatures, weren't too warm today. We were just hitting that 70-degree mark just a little bit ago. Once those clouds started to clear, we were in those 70s. That 80% chance of thunderstorms, most of that hit us already. Within these last just about 30 minutes, Athens itself just got hit with just a little bit of that rain that we were expecting for most of the area. You can see on that radar, most of the intents in those thunderstorms were hitting areas closer to Zanesville and Cambridge, where they were seeing some lightning with those storms. But here in Athens, there was just some rain here and there, very sporadic, very isolated, like we've been having for these last couple weeks. You can see out there currently, we are in those lower 60-degree temperatures, but we are going to be seeing this warm up as we go into the weekend, and we're looking at a sunny one for these next couple days. We'll be getting into that in my full forecast. Let's take it back over to Betty.
The Nelsonville Water Department has issued another boil order. The order applies to all customers on Chestnut Street from 2nd Street to Bear Oak Boulevard. The boil order will run until noon on Friday and is because of a tie-in for a new water line. The city of Nelsonville recommends everyone affected to boil their cooking and drinking water for 3 minutes before being used, and CDC advises people still boil filtered water and avoid using water from the household appliances like water from a fridge. While showering is safe if no water is ingested, the CDC says to use boiled or bottled water when brushing your teeth. Next weekend, teen drivers will have the opportunity to learn skills to help them on the road. On June 8th and 9th, the Ohio Traffic Safety Office will host an advanced driver training course at Nelsonville York High School. Now, the program gives teen drivers the opportunity to learn crash avoidance techniques on a closed course. They'll be able to practice the skills that are cited as primary causes of teen crashes, like skid recovery and stop exercises. There's nothing like the friendship between a man and his dog. 71-year-old John Dals and his dog Albert are more than just that. They are business partners. I had the opportunity to talk with the duo.
Come on, get it, get it.
John Dals goes everywhere with his best friend Albert.
I flew out to Little Rock, Arkansas and went up into the Ozark Mountains in a rental car and picked him up, and he's been my best friend ever since.
Like a lot of people, Albert was a pandemic puppy, a way for Dals to cope with the stress of the pandemic. After the pandemic, Dals signed up as a driver for Lyft. It was a way for him to stay active after retiring from a career in the hearing aid industry. But his time as a Lyft driver was short-lived.
Somebody complained because they had Albert in the car, and so they disabled my Lyft app, which has basically fired me. So I said, well, I'll just start Albert's Taxi. Hey, this is Albert's Taxi.
So now people who call John for a ride know Albert is part of the deal.
It's like, well, if you don't like the dog, you don't need to ride in Albert's Taxi. We don't need you around.
Dal says his customers are mostly in a good mood, just like Albert.
We're constantly going to pick up folks that are kind of in a celebratory mood anyhow. So he just kind of adds to it. So that is 99.9% of the time.
What started as a setback is now a new beginning for John and Albert. Coming up, the victim of the Youngstown bank explosion has been identified. And jurors spent their first day deliberating in the Trump's hush money trial.
It has been a gloomy one here today in Athens, when those temperatures are going to be feeling more summer-like. Next on Newswatch.
One of nature's greatest displays of might is the most iconic waterfall in the world. It's a force that shaped the region and created a natural realm unlike any other.
As you travel upriver, the modern world seems to fall away. It feels like a trip back in time.
Discover the many wonders of Niagara Falls.
Tonight at 8 on WOUB. We must save our oceans, and we must also feed ourselves. Thankfully, there are people trying to do both.
There's no reason why more people shouldn't have access.
This kind of creative farming is extremely important.
I want you to fish, but I want you to fish smart.
Sustainability is to extend life, not just of the fish, but of us.
If you don't drive it, donate it and support something you use every day.
Let's make the most of this summer.
There's about to be a whole lot of love in this kitchen.
Smells good in here.
Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Disco started with parties.
Good times, good feeling.
It brings people joy.
I don't need a detective. The baker will do.
This is what we've got, and we can make it ours.
It's so good.
The person killed in yesterday's Youngstown bank explosion has been identified. 27-year-old Chase Bank employee Akil Drake was identified by the Mahoning County coroner. 7 other people were injured in the blast, with 1 remaining in critical condition. After police and Mahoning County Emergency Management Agency initially said the explosion was because of natural gas, Fire Chief Barry Finley said it's too early to know.
Is out here, they're doing assessment of all their equipment to find out if it was a gas leak, but as of right now, all I know for sure is that there was an explosion.
With the cause of the explosion still unknown, the state fire marshal is leading the investigation. Ohio's maternal mortality rate is higher than the national average, making the state one of the worst mortality rates for pregnant mothers. Nationwide, severely putting a black woman at twice the risk than white mothers. 5 representatives from Ohio are signing onto a federal package of 13 bills, hoping for a wide-reaching impact in maternal care. The federal bill's focus is making investments in nutrition, transportation, and mental health for pregnant mothers. The U.S. is suspending Palestinian aid shipments that rely on Gaza sea route. The Pentagon says its floating pier used to transport aid is damaged from recent weather. The $320 million floating pier there sustained damage yesterday and over the weekend. Officials say the repairs could take more than a week, and that's on top of the time needed to re-anchor the structure on the coast. For now, U.S. aid says thousands and thousands of tons of supplies are waiting on the nearby island of Cyprus. Officials say airdrops continue where possible, but land crossings are often closed or bottlenecked. The 12-person jury in former President Donald Trump's criminal hash money trial started deliberations today, moving them one step closer to deciding Trump's legal fate. There's a lot at stake for the presumptive Republican presidential nominee, and he was fired up when he left the courtroom today. Julia Benbrook has the latest.
Former President Donald Trump faces 34 counts of falsifying business records, stemming from a hush money payment made to adult film star Stormy Daniels back in 2016 to cover up an alleged affair. Trump denies the affair and has pleaded not guilty.
Mother Teresa could not beat those charges.
Court was in session for more than 10 hours on Tuesday as both sides made extensive final pitches to the jury. It's now up to 12 Manhattan residents to decide if Trump is guilty or not guilty. A felony conviction of a former president and the presumptive 2024 Republican nominee would be unprecedented.
We can't ignore the fact that this is a former president of the United States. And this trial is the first of its kind, but this jury understands the magnitude of that as well.
The jury must be unanimous in its decision. As they deliberate, they can ask questions about the case to the court through handwritten notes. The jury deliberation process could take days or even weeks.
You can't sort of maybe in elegant terms, you can't BS a jury. They sort of get it, and they're going to go in there and try to figure out what they agree about, and then what areas need to be discussed and fleshed out that they don't agree on.
If Trump is convicted, the judge could sentence Trump to probation or up to 4 years each count in state prison, with a maximum of 20 years. Reporting in Manhattan, I'm Julia Benbrook.
For our full look at weather today, we're going to be seeing how we've had those storms throughout the day. We're going to be looking here currently in Athens at live radar. We're really not in those chances of rain for the rest of the night. We're going to be seeing these little pop-up clouds here and there, going to be blocking that sun, going to make it feel a little bit chillier on the ground. There might be a few formations of a couple isolated showers for the rest of the night, but after tonight, we're looking for the clear for the rest of this work week. It is going to be a beautiful one after this system kind of makes its way out. And then you can see there's really nothing following it until we start looking into later into the weekend. We're going to be seeing those temperatures out there right now. 66 in Athens, Parkersburg 65, Huntington 63. As we go a little bit more north in Newark, they're not even reaching 60s. It's just from those clouds that we've been experiencing today. It has really been cooling things down, and it's going to be continuing cooling things down, but it's just going to be getting a little bit warmer as the week goes on. Looking at tonight, that overnight low only reaching 46. It's definitely on that cooler side than some of these weeknights that we've been having recently. We're going to be looking at that 10% chance of storms. That's just from the residual clouds that are in the air that is going to be giving us that little bit chance of storms for the rest of the night. That low, like I said, of 46. Going into tomorrow, we're going to be having that high of 72, but it is going to be a sunny one out there. So without those clouds in the way, without any of that rain in the way, it is going to be a beautiful one looking at tomorrow. Not going to be super warm like we've been having these past weeks, but it's still going to be a pretty nice one out there. Looking early tomorrow morning, that high pressure is really just staying in the area until we're looking at about Friday, looking at this system coming in that is going to be affecting us looking at Saturday night into Sunday and residually throughout the rest of the week next week. So definitely enjoy these couple next days of some sunny weather, getting a little bit warmer until we start hitting June, and we're going to start off June with the rainy one. We're going to be looking at that 7-day outlook. You're going to be seeing that next 2 days, they're going to be sunny, and then that 10% chance of thunderstorms on Saturday. That's going to be more later in the day, so definitely get in some sun time before those rain chances start coming in. Sunday and Monday, that's whenever we're going to have a lot more of that higher risk of having those thunderstorms. And looking into Tuesday, that's whenever that new system's coming in, going to be making it a lot warmer, but on that rainy side. Let's take it back over to Betty.
Thanks, Isabel. A popular tourist hotspot in Iceland was evacuated earlier today. The Blue Lagoon geothermal spa in Iceland was evacuated after a series of earthquakes struck the area this afternoon. Aerial view shows flames and smoke billowing from the volcanic hill, and the Icelandic Meteorological Office said that lava was shooting approximately 50 meters into the air. The Blue Lagoon was last evacuated in March following a volcanic eruption, and this is the 5th time the volcano has erupted since December. Next on Newswatch, why more teens across the country are headed back to work this summer. And for the latest from Newswatch, follow us on X, formerly Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.
The Ohio Art Corridor is a destination experience. We would like this to be the largest outdoor art gallery in the world.
Progress is all about taking the lessons of the past and doing better. So I would hope that now that we know better, we will do better.
The legacy that you leave is people think of you and what
touches their heart to the point that they remember.
The bridge was acclaimed at the time of being an engineering marvel.
We got land granted to us in Ohio. Great opportunity, let's go. How would you know you got here? It was just sheer determination and patience and just hard, back-breaking work.
Thursday at 10 on WOUB. For more than 70 years, WOUB Public Media has been the place where people in our region turn to learn how stories of the past ignite the imagination of the future. It's where information, entertainment, and education work together to inform, enlighten, and inspire generations. It's the place where the community gathers to hear and see our world in new and innovative ways. WOUB, the public media you trust that's worthy of your support.
I am Professor Jasper Tempest.
There have been 4 unexplained sudden deaths in the southeast.
Professor?
Professor? Professor?
My name...
I know who you are.
Jasper has been taken to prison.
What was your plan?
Truth and justice are not always compatible.
We're just gonna let people die.
There are moves afoot to cut you loose. We shall have to wait and see.
ConocoPhillips is buying Marathon Oil in a deal worth $22.5 billion. The merger includes about $5.4 billion of Marathon debt. Marathon CEO says Conoco is the right home to build on a legacy of operational excellence and strong earnings. The all-stock merger is expected to close in the fourth quarter of 2024, pending approval. Shares of Marathon were up more than 10% in pre-market trading, while Conoco stock was down about 2%. Athens High School graduation was last weekend. Now teens are headed back to work, and inflation may be a key driver. Karen Kafer is in Washington with why teens will pick up more summer jobs and how to start the search.
Teens are expected to job hunt in a big way this summer, and some key sectors will welcome the help.
Jobs that teens typically usually fill, recreation, food service, a lot of those employers in those sectors are having a hard time filling those roles. And so in some ways, the teen summer surge couldn't come at a better time.
A report by outplacement firm Challenger Gray and Christmas forecasts teens will see an additional 1.3 million jobs in May, June, and July. This, as the Bureau of Labor Statistics showed more than 5.8 million teens between age 16 and 19 employed during the month of April, an increase from about 5.7 million the year prior. Challenger says part of the push is the squeeze of inflation on teens and families. Mark Hamrick, senior economic analyst at Bankrate, says the job market is in their favor.
The good news here is that the job market remains strong. There is more demand for workers than there is supply of workers.
Aaron Terrazas, chief economist at Glassdoor, says employers realize teens won't come to interviews with lengthy resumes, but a teen does need to show up ready to work.
They do want to see is some signal of persistence, dedication, and that this employee is going to be a reliable worker.
And Hamrick says the financial lessons of a summer job can go beyond the workplace.
The experience, not to mention the income that's associated with real work, is something that is very meaningful and important for the development of all young people.
In Washington, I'm Karen Kafer.
Dairy Manufacturers Incorporated is recalling infant formula sold under the names Cresolac and Pharmalac. The Food and Drugs Administration says it never evaluated the batch to determine whether it meets food safety and nutritional standards. The products, sold only in Texas, were packaged in a cardboard and aluminum 12.4-ounce can. The company says no illnesses or adverse reactions have been reported. Anyone who bought the formula should return them for a refund. Still ahead, a giant return from two familiar faces to the Smithsonian National Zoo. But first, here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
In Pompeii, we can see the culture of the people who lived here.
c'è una novità. Col carboncino. Gladiatori.
We would never have known of this incredible match that took place.
L'altare dove veniva fatto il sacrificio è...
Anybody who was still alive would have seen a cloud coming down the volcano.
They are worried about surviving this eruption.
Tonight at 10 on WOUB.
Join me, Rick Steves, as we explore Germany, old and new. We'll go on a harbor tour in Hamburg, explore the treasure troves of the historic Green Vault in Dresden, journey through Nuremberg's secret underground tunnels, and visit the home of one of the most influential figures in European history, Martin Luther. You're in for some monumental travel fun in my latest travel special, Rick Steves' Great German Cities.
Tuesday at 9:30.
We must save our oceans, and we must also feed ourselves. Thankfully, there are people trying to do both.
There's no reason why more people shouldn't have access.
This kind of creative farming is extremely important.
I want you to fish, but I want you to fish smart.
Sustainability is to extend life, not just of the fish, but of us.
WOUB is recognizing members of our Cornerstone Society. The Cornerstone Society is a group that wants to ensure the future of public media in our region. It includes people across our area who value news, entertainment, and cultural programming, as well as the educational services WOUB provides. Also included are graduates of Ohio University who took part in the WOUB Student Professional Development Program. Thanks to the Cornerstone Society for their generous support. To learn how you can be involved, email woub@woub.org.
Finally tonight, two giant pandas will be making their much-anticipated return to Washington, D.C. this year. Meet Bao Li and Ximbao. The 2-year-old giant pandas are set to arrive at the Smithsonian National Zoo by the end of the year. It's through the zoo's Giant Panda Conservation Program in partnership with China. This comes after 3 giant pandas left the National Zoo last year. The move prompted concerns that the 50-year history of the bears being housed in the U.S. Capitol could be coming to an end. At the time, Smithsonian staff called the departure a hiatus, but Chinese officials had yet to clarify the future of the program. More giant pandas are set to arrive in other parts of the country. In California, zoos in both San Francisco and San Diego confirm they are also preparing to welcome the bears. Now, Isabel, I am fascinated by the names of the pandas.
I think they're just so adorable. I love a good panda.
Bao Li and Ximbao. I hope I'm getting the pronunciation right, but I'm not such a fan of pandas. It's just not my thing.
Not your thing for pandas? Well, I think they're pretty cute. And hopefully tomorrow you'll be able to get out there and enjoy a zoo with that sunny skies that we're going to be having tomorrow. Looking at that live radar, we're just going to be seeing for the rest of the night these cloudy skies. You might feel a little bit more humidity in the air than you're used to. But for the rest of the night, we're going to be looking at just those cloudy skies, looking at that overnight low of 46 degrees. That chance of storms has been going down as the night has gone by, and you're just going to be seeing that from those cloudy skies go into those sunny skies, looking at just about tomorrow morning, and we're going to be enjoying those sunny skies for these next couple of days. Then we're going to be hit with that rain, but hopefully you get to enjoy those sunny skies while they're still around for the rest of this work week. And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. For Donovan Vani and Isabel Isco, I'm Betty Kankambwedu. Stay tuned for the PBS News Hour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at woub.org or follow us on social media. Have a great night.